that ability to go to that route, to go there, shows that you haven't been guarded in the first place. I need to explain that, don't I? Okay. When you are able to commit a murder, I think along the lines. Okay. You have when you are able to commit a murder. Oh man. No, that's okay. I think along the lines. Okay. You have when you are. Oh man, I do not like to hear my own voice. Okay, are we good? I think along the lines. I think along the lines you've opened yourself to do that way before you did it. Does that make sense? I think that you've allowed your mind to think of it or to cognate on it, to perceive it, to imagine it. And I think that's what God was saying. I know that they say you should not kill your brother or commit murder, but or you should not rape or they say rape or something like that. But you shouldn't even think of a woman that way. You should stop yourself for even crossing that horizon. What do you guys think? Any thoughts about that?
Before you can have an action in the first place. So if you're thinking about something long enough and it's a negative thought and you don't cast down that negative thought,
Right.
you're going to eventually act on it.
Right.
So and then sin occurs.
Right. Even
Even
if
the
you don't.
thought is sinful if it's
Right.
not right.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that, even if you don't do the most heinous act, I think you might do some sort of it as you ponder it and as you so I think that, people might say that, oh, that's not anything bad, when it really is because you started the process. And if you don't act aggressively to defeat it, then I think we could find ourselves in a lot of trouble. I really do believe that. So, and I know that it might seem not true to a lot of people, but I think it is. Sister?
It makes me think about self-control.
Mhm.
I was reading something about self-control, and it was saying that many times, I think many times in cases that we see and that you see as an attorney,
Mhm.
many people who do not have self-control.
Right.
And we think about some situations, wrong place at the wrong time.
Right.
At times, those habits have been developed.
Yeah.
Mama says be home by a certain time, but we,
Exactly.
push the
We
limit.
we cut it.
Well,
We cut it. We cut it.
we push it and we just start to develop that habit of she said this, but no, I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go where I want to go, and I'm gonna hang out with who I want to hang out with. And sometimes, we see that the result of that through Satan,
Mhm.
he ends up putting us in the wrong place, the wrong time, and that wrong action for just a minute, a second, and then it lead, we pay the consequence for the rest of our lives.
And then, I just have, I remember so often these people would say it's not my fault. It was the circumstances that just brought me to it. And I'm not, I don't want to put the blame game on now, because it happened, and you're going to pay the consequences for it. But it is your fault when you don't address those matters when the opportunity is to address them, when you don't see sin and turn away, when you look at something and say, hey, listen, that's not nothing I want to entertain myself with, or that's not entertainment, that's something, or my parents told me that that's wrong and I'm still going to do it, and I that's not right. I want to give them honor, especially when I'm a minor. I want to honor my parents. um but as you grow older, you still need to. So yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Any other comments about that?
I guess you carry the things that you learned when you were young to the
Mhm.
adulthood.
Oh, that's true.
So I remember I was working with the Muskogee School District with the children with behavioral problems,
Mhm.
And so by the time they bring the child to the doctor to be diagnosed, and I'm thinking, coming from where I come from, I said, this is not really a medical issue. This is a family issue where somebody just need to put their foot down and direct the child, because the child doesn't know right from wrong. So you have to tell them. And I remember one time, to this time actually, sometimes I am out there and a parent would come to me and he said, "Do you remember you were the my child's counselor?" And I said, "I'm so sorry. Would you remind me?" Because
I know.
too many people. Yeah.
know.
And the first thing they would say is, you did the best and I did the best. The child is in prison. And how it's like it breaks my heart.
I know.
But I could see, I saw the trend. I knew
You knew what was going on.
where it was going to
I see
go.
it too. I see it too.
And I'm thinking, you talk to you're not really dealing with the child, but you're dealing with the parent. And how do you deal with the parent? You tell them, do this. They are not going to follow through because they think I don't
It's
understand.
too hard or something. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But God is gracious. Like I say, nobody wakes up in the morning and just kills somebody.
Yes.
It has been contemplated. It has been thought. It has been, you have to go through
Imagined.
Exactly. So like this morning, the thought that I had for the church this morning was found in Psalms 37, where David says, consider the end of those the wicked.
Mhm.
Consider it. But the point that he was trying to say was that every day when we wake up, we have a choice to make. You have the choice to say, Lord, I'm going to pray. I'm going to give you honor and glory. For Satan, you don't have to make an conscious effort. You can either wake up and start going. You're on his side.
Right.
So God give us the opportunity to decide. And if we decide for him, he's gracious, he's very kind. He will lead us, he will help us to go the right way. It's choices. Nobody on planet Earth can say, I have not been given a choice. We all have a choice for good or bad.
And I'm so, and this is what I'm torn about. And I just hopefully that you guys could have some input on this. There are children who grow up in households that are devastating, that are just, it's almost like you think there's no chance for them to have moral character. Yet I see on one child grew up in that household and they develop to be fine fine citizens and good people. And I find other people who grew up to be just horrendous people and horrendous citizens and of little or no moral character at all. But I do see a sense that there are people who really feel that that's important. They need to develop their own person and their own character as they grow up. I mean, man, I tell far too much in these church things. But I mean, as I was growing up, I lived in the city and I had such exposure and I would talk about and do anything until there was one point in time I said, no, I don't want to be that person. I want to, I mean, I didn't feel like I was going to be goody two shoes to just do, just to tell everybody about God because I didn't know very much about God. But I thought that I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to be part of that crowd or part of that group that belittled people and thought, treated women in such a way that I just wasn't going to be part of that. So I made the decision not to do that and to be kind and to be loving and to be, I mean, even those people on the street, they would do stuff and I wasn't going to get, I wasn't going to get bent out of shape about it. I guess I'd protect myself, but I wouldn't get bent out of shape. And I found my life being better. I really did. And it was in a place called Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, New York. And I guess it's Harlem, Bedford-Stuyvesant, which is the worst. But it was bad. But I could see that God was working on my heart not to do that, not to be that kind of person. I don't know. I don't know if God does that to everybody, but I think that those people do have a chance, even if you grew up in the most horrendous circumstances. I think you have a chance. So I can't say that you're blameless. I can't say that this, what do they call it, nurture versus nature. I can't blame nature on it because I think there is some degree of responsibility you have to take towards the development of your character. You have to, they think that there's a higher calling and you have to gravitate towards that if you're so inclined. Sister?
I want to add that a good point you make about the environment that we grew up in. And this morning I was reading about the life of Jesus Christ. When we look at his life, he came from the throne of heaven to this earth. It was a very rude environment. He didn't even have, and even this morning with the little kids, with Jaylee, we were talking. His mother, they were homeless when it was time for him to be born. And so many of us, I was born at the hospital and we were at this, and then the room is prepared for the baby.
Yeah.
Everything is prepared. But here it is, the Son of God came to this earth. And I think that his life, when we really look at it, his upbringing
Exactly.
and childhood, he didn't have much.
What good has ever come out of what town was that?
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he said about it.
Yeah.
What good is it?
No,
Because that's how bad it was known.
that town was known for. Yeah. And so we see even in his life an example. And so I think for those who are dealing with poverty, for those who are growing up in poverty, we have Jesus as our example. And even his early years show that in that environment that, with the Spirit of God, we can still prevail.
Right.
And so what you spoke about this morning, choices. No matter what type of environment you grew up in, you have a choice. That doesn't have to be it for you.
Right.
You have a choice to respond to that upbringing or environment. You can respond to that either in fear or in faith. Even if you don't know God yet, you might have a little faith in yourself to take yourself beyond where you grew up and what happened in your past. It's a matter of your response.
I agree. I just don't think those people are blameless out of that. I think that you really have to take responsibility for where you're at. And now, granted, you might have a tough bringing. Maybe that's your testimony. But still, I think God provides the opportunity for us to develop our character, the kind of character that's good enough to go into heaven. But let's read on. The life of the Apostle Paul was a constant conflict with self. He said, I die daily. His will and his desires every day conflicted with duty and the will of God. Instead of following inclination, he did God's will, however crucifying to his nature. At the close of his life of conflict, looking back over its struggles and triumphs, he could say, I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. Henceforth there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, shall give me at that day. The Christian life is a battle and a march. In this warfare, there is no release. The effort must be continuous and persevering. It is by unceasing endeavor that we maintain the victory over the temptations of Satan. Here we go. Christian integrity must be sought with resistless energy and maintained with a resolute fixedness of purpose. No one will be born upward without stern, persevering effort on his own behalf. All must engage in this warfare for themselves. No one else can fight our battles. I really do believe that. And when that little part about Christian integrity must be sought with resistless energy and maintained with a resolute fixedness of purpose. I think, what's that song we like to sing? My mind is made up. I got my mind made up. You're right. And I want to be my Jesus someday. Amen. Got my mind made up and I won't turn back. I want to see my Jesus. And that's a lovely, and you see what I mean? It's just like, No. That's the other stuff you got going on. That's foolishness. I'm not a part of it. And there's this oh man, I'm telling you all you guys. Um, I I usually say something like, "My name is Les. I'm not in that mess." so, so, so you guys understand. Oh, did you- no, no, I know, yeah. Mine is, I'm not in that mess. Yeah, that's a good one. So it's just and I think what happened is it's courageous to do this. That you're in a mindset that hey, I'm not even going to contemplate getting part of this stuff. I want it to be so foreign to where I'm going. I don't want to take that luggage with me, that baggage. And it might seem like you're fearful to the world, but I think there's a lot to be fearful of. Because you let that little bit of sin get inroads in your life, I think you chance risking heaven. You chance risking developing the character that sin is bad, even in its what you might perceive in its most weakest form. And Satan knows what you think is a weak sin, and he'll tempt you with it. Any more comments about that part of it? And that was it takes perseverance.
The one the second last paragraph that
Mhm.
says the Christian life is a battle and a match.
Yeah.
Having come from a a war-torn country, I know
You know what
you're
that's about.
always on a constant watch.
Mhm.
It's a constant watch. So it's a battle, and the battle actually is within, and it's in us. So we have to fight.
Right.
So it's a beautiful way she put it.
I think so too. I just really think that whole chapter is what. And when Paul says, "I die daily," it's that, hey, listen, it's a perseverance, and you need to be strong. There's a science to it. There's a science of Christianity to be mastered. A science is much deeper, broader, higher than any human science, as the heavens are higher than the earth. The mind is to be disciplined, educated, trained, for we are to do service for God in ways that are not in harmony with inborn inclination, that's sin. Hereditary and cultivated tendencies to evil must be overcome. Often the education and training of a lifetime must be discarded, that one may become a learner in the school of Christ. Our hearts must be educated to become steadfast in God. We are to form habits of thought that will enable us to resist temptations. We must learn to look upward. The principles of the Word of God, principles that are as high as heaven and that compasses eternity, we are to understand in their bearing upon our life, our daily life. Every act, every word, every thought is to be in accord with these principles. All must be brought into harmony with and subject to Christ. I like this little chapter right here, this little paragraph, I'm sorry. The precious graces of the Holy Spirit are not developed in a moment. Courage, fortitude, meekness, faith, unwavering trust in God's power to save are acquired by an experience of years, by a life of holy endeavor and firm adherence to the right the children of God are to seal their destiny. What do you guys think about that? I mean, that to me, that little part there. Oh, how do I, I, a lot of, oh boy, this is my theory, and I don't know if I have firm belief in it. I think a lot of people think they want to have fun when they're younger and they want to do the things and, oh, Dad, don't worry me about this. don't worry me about stuff that with God, because I got my life to live right now. But they feel that as they get older, they would develop. Maybe then they'll say, "Hey, listen, I'm slower. I don't have to deal with with chasing girls anymore. I don't have to deal with the rat race. I'll be a Christian now." But they haven't really got the experience that would hold them strong. they would still let the parts of their life that is acclimated towards sin to let them in. And they just haven't learned to really, push sin away from their lives or the people's around them's lives. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Is that maybe is that just a theory? I just don't know. I think that because I know that without depending on God all these years, I don't know if I could do so strongly now. I don't know if I could feel so comfortable on saying no, stay strong with God and he'll stay strong with you. He'll protect you in times of weakness. He'll protect you in times of lowness and sadness. And you don't have to fret because I don't fret. And even when I mess up, even when I don't, I let fear overcome me or I let circumstances overcome me. I know I could go back to him and I could, and you can too. What do you guys think? Is that, I mean, I don't know.
In the village where I come from, we don't have refrigerators. We
Mhm.
have granaries, you know. I don't know if you know what granary.
No.
Granary is a place where they build it, and then when they harvest the food, they put the food there. It's just the food. It's not a place to where people sleep. No, it's just like they construct
Right.
the granary
A grain
on.
printer.
Yes,
Great bit.
yes. So these people are working hard in the year, and then afterward they put the food there for the time when that kind of food is not there. So they drove from the place. So it is just like that in the Christian life. If you don't put
Oh, I see the point.
food.
I see the point. If you don't
Yeah.
deposit,
Exactly. Yeah, where are you going to withdraw it?
that's a good
And
point.
exactly. Go ahead. I'm just
I see the tie. That's a good
Yes.
point.
So when we grow old and we don't have it,
Where do you
where are you supposed to get it from?
Right. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. That's the science to it. There's a science to developing God's character, to being steadfast with God. So that's good. Any other comments about that? Anybody? Okay. No time to lose. We have no time to lose. We know not how soon our probation may close. And I was just talking, I'm sorry, sister, what's your name again? I was just talking to Sister Calandra this morning about that. We don't know how long we have. We could have, I mean, who knows what could happen? And God forbid something happened on the way home, but it could happen. But do we use the time we have as best as we can? And that's going to be the call. I don't know how long I have, but I just want to make sure that the time that I have, I'm doing it serving God and doing it the best I can to serve his needs for me here. And I think we ought to cherish the time God's had because we don't know how long we have. So we know not how soon our probation may close. At the longest, we have but a brief lifetime here. And as I get close to 60, 60, 61 now, I mean, man, this is getting I am officially old. You I don't know if you noticed in my sermon this morning, I had like different ranges, 20s, 30s, and where do you see yourself in such a day? 60s was way at the end. And it just made me reflect. Do I see myself doing what I need to do or following God as best? And I'm not going to judge that. It's up to God to do that, to tell me. But I want that to be a good enough. I want that to be good. I want me to do the best I can with the years that he gave me. And God, let it be as best as I could do it. I don't know what else to say except do your best. And with the time granted, because you don't know. I've seen people die far too young with far too much to go. And it's just so disconcerting to me that they had their whole life ahead of me. People who I saw born have died. It's just so sad to me. So, but yet I pray that they have the fortitude to make the best of the time they have. Mm. I'm sorry for that little commercial. At the longest, we have but a brief lifetime here, and we know not how soon the arrow of death may strike our hearts. We know not how soon we may be called to give up the world and all its interests. Eternity stretches before us. This curtain is about to be lifted, but a few short years. And for everyone now numbered with the living, the mandate will go forth. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. Are we prepared? Have we become acquainted with God, the governor of heaven, the lawgiver, and with Jesus Christ, whom he sent into this world as his representative? When our life work is ended, shall we be able to say, as did Christ our example, I have glorified thee on the earth. I have finished the work with which thou givest me to do. I have manifested thy name. The angels of God are seeking to attract us from ourselves, and from early things, let them not labor in vain. Minds that have been given up to loose thought need to change. Gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is to be brought unto you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. As obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lusts in your ignorance, but as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversation, because it is written, be ye holy, for I am holy. The thoughts must be centered upon God. We must put forth earnest effort to overcome the evil tendencies of the natural heart. Our efforts, our self-denial, and perseverance must be proportionate to the infinite value of the object of which we are in pursuit. Only by overcoming as Christ overcame shall we win the crown of life. What do you guys think about that? I just, so often I don't know if we have our minds focused on the prize. Like, what's our prize? What are we hoping to attain through this? And I know I thoroughly will enjoy more life than this. Does that sound bad? That I would love to have more life. I'd like to, be exposed to the heavens and all the magnificent of the galaxies and all the secrets of the worlds, and just to be worshiping God. How can you love people so much that you gave your son so that they may live? And despite our sinfulness and despite all that, you still
Song specific
and
patch. If you purchase the Ableton Live.
sorry, did somebody else have a comment? Did somebody have a comment? Okay. So and this is where this comment comes from. And I just want to see what you guys think. I would serve God even if he didn't promise me heaven, because he is of character that I admire. That that's the kind of person I say I'm following. I know that we have leaders and we have presidents and we have soldiers who are leaders, stuff like that. But I want to say that I'm following somebody who I respect. I don't respect Satan. I think he's thoroughly that's a good way. That's the nicest way I've ever heard somebody put Satan. You know what he is. You know what it is. So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think? It's kind of goofy to say. I just don't respect. I respect God, and I would follow him even if heaven wasn't promised to me. I'm glad for the promise because it gives me eternal life. If I want to do the best I can in this life, and God willing, I will. But I'm so glad that he gave me the opportunity to be with him.
I decided I was going to start reading my Bible over again, from Genesis. I'm still in Genesis.
Oh no, it's a lifetime. It could be.
Yeah. So, uh, so, so when sin came in, the first murder,
Mhm.
Cain, and Cain killed Abel.
Mhm.
And so when God walks around and asks him what happened, and he had a terrible answer. I'm not your,
Yeah.
you know,
I'm not my brother's keeper.
yeah. And then he sends him off, and then he got scared because he said, "Well, I guess out there is not safe anymore for me."
Right.
Now, what caused him to think like
Right.
that?
Right.
You know?
Right. Right. I I I understand. And the thing about it, you know, those people who take advantage of the weak and the meek, um, they love the world, the society we have. But when they go to prison, it's a whole new story. They got, you lie too, you cheat too, you kill too, because look what they're facing with. They're facing with a whole new dynamic. There's not all these suckers or person they take advantage of to deal with. And that's what I said, man, that's what Satan, his group is like. You know what I mean? And now I know that we as Christians will be taken advantage of sometimes and will be used sometimes. But a lot of times we benefit from that. We learn the benefits of how bad sin is. And we develop our character as a result. While they just benefit from maybe a temporal gain and money or whatever they do.
Yeah. And as I was saying, you mentioned that even though there wasn't heaven
Mhm.
to be there,
Mhm.
the fact is this, that if you stay in the confinement of what God said, you will be safe.
Right.
That itself is enough.
Yes. Yes.
You and I, if we